Welcome to Fundraising Stories with Female Founders. I'm Julia Elliott-Brown, the founder and CEO of Enter the Arena. I'm a serial entrepreneur and an expert in raising investment and business growth. Our mission at Enter the Arena is to empower female founders to fly through pre-raise and investment and onto the exponential growth of their business with investment expertise and business coaching. Here we share the stories of inspirational female founders who've raised investment to inspire you to do the same. You'll hear their honest accounts of what it was really like to secure funding, the highs, the lows, and the challenges they experienced on the journey. And along the way, we'll discuss top tips for how you can be successful too. Today I'm speaking with Abbie Miranda, the co-founder and head of design at iconic lingerie brand Beija London. For those of you that are not familiar with the brand, Beija London is a lingerie and swimwear brand that responds to the needs of different cup sizes from AA to H. And what they've done is create three really unique sizing categories. It's quite interesting. They've got the X bra, underwired for smaller cups, the Y bra, which is wired for smaller cups too, and then the Z bra, which is wired for larger cups. So super practical, but also beautiful and without compromising on style. It's really stunning lingerie. Abbie launched the business in 2016 with her co-founder and sister, Mazie Fisher. Abbie manages the design, Mazie heads up the brand, and they sell online through also through their flagship store in King's Cross, and now also through John Lewis, truly taking their brand onto the high street. In December 2021, Abbie and Mazie closed a crowdfunding round on Seedrs, overfunding by 158%, raising £479,000 from 332 investors. So pretty impressive stuff. So let's find out more about Abbie's journey and what her fundraising journey was really like. Welcome, Abbie.
Hiya, I'm so happy to be here. Chatting to interesting women doing interesting things is literally my favourite thing to do.
Isn't
so thank you.
Isn't it? I love talking to women.
I love it.
Especially about lingerie. So I'm so intrigued by your story. So, and I always love it when sisters are in business. My last business was my sister, so I feel a great affinity with that. And you and your sister grew up in a family lingerie manufacturing business, didn't you? Tell us what that was like.
So yeah, it was different, I suppose, looking back to the norm. It was, mum was an entrepreneur, like a true entrepreneur, surrounded by a team of creative, passionate women, driving hard deadlines, hard standards, meeting them, problems, overcoming them, and just that relentless season after season. And seeing mum up close was, going through that was incredible. Also, lots of sexy bras all over the place all the time. Any holiday we had, we'd have to sort of hang around the fax machine every morning by the reception. That was a killer. And then hit up the department stores always. But it gave us a real background in, product and quality and design and manufacture and fitting and all of that. And I think personally gave me a really good, a good sort of way of perceiving women and women's bodies. And I would do the fit modeling and just no real insecurity. A body is just a body. We've all got them. They come in all shapes and sizes. No one's judging you at all. No one cares. Just try that bra on and let me take a pinch there and a pinch there and shorten that strap. I think it was just a good place to grow up, definitely.
Wow. And also just having an entrepreneurial mother, which is quite unusual. I think for women our age to have had mothers who were entrepreneurs, that must have been incredibly inspirational.
Very. I'm just very conscientious of how hard it was and the burden that she carries and the way she does that, and try not to replicate some of the things that have made it more painful than it should have been. But it's such a weight, such a responsibility. It's a team of women who you adore, who have got children, mortgages, and it's all relying on you. And that is a lot to carry. And she's done it so gracefully. It's just cautious not to replicate the things that when you get over stressed.
But I suppose that's quite unique that you went into entrepreneurship, I guess, with your eyes wide open, which most entrepreneurs don't do. I'm going to include myself in that, going into building a high growth business kind of with great optimism and positivity and thinking it's all going to be, roses. But you would have known from the start that it was going to be a tough journey.
I don't think I really knew how hard it would be, because mum opened the doors and was profitable. Different era. 40 years ago, things were cheaper. Like, it was just different. You could, remortgage your house, and the houses are tripling in value every year. Like, it was just a different time. And I didn't realize how sort of big Beija would get, honestly. Like, it's grown, and it's, with that growth comes more problems and responsibilities, but also more fun and excitement. But yeah, it is a lot. It's a lot.
So tell me about, what happened when you decided to set up your own brand with your sister?
So I was living in Brazil, and Mazie had we'd just come to the right point in our lives where we thought, we've got to do this. There were other brands having a go, not doing it well. And we thought, we've got a powerhouse behind us. We knew the spot in the market that we wanted to go for, which was not super sexy. Like, there was just, it wasn't like, not what we were wearing. That's not really what our friends were wearing. It was just sort of simple modern designs that would take you from, morning to night, wherever, not like occasion wear, sexy bras. Like, that wasn't what we were there for. We really spotted that everyday luxe look, and we just went for that, because we definitely thought that was lacking, especially in those bigger cup sizes. And then as well with our XYZ, so the X bra is designed for small cups, so it's got no wires. It's beautiful, it's well made, it's quality, but it's not like over egged. She doesn't need the same thing as an H cup. So we designed specifically for the small cup in the X category. Then the mid cup sizes, so that's B to D, that's our Y bra. She doesn't need a lot of excess. Like, she wants something beautiful, quality, a little bit of lift, but not like a load of padding and wires and frills and bows, just simple, neat, modern. And then in our Z category, again, really lightweight, streamlined design, no added bulk, but obviously she needs a lot more going on the inside. And our whole concept was just to bring that look under one thing, because these women are the same women. They've got the same lifestyles, they go to the same shops, they wear the same outerwear, but there's one's going to Gap Kids to get a crop top, and the other one's got to go to these sort of specialist retailers. And we just thought we could bring that all under one roof. And it's that really resonates with our customer. Obviously it makes things a lot harder, but it's what we're known for, and I'm quite proud of that.
Yeah, it's a clever idea. I love it. So you set that up as a subsidiary under your family business umbrella.
Yeah.
So did you have to go and basically pitch this to your mum?
Absolutely.
That's an interesting one. How did that go?
They were, really supportive, excited. Mum was excited to have, it's like an element of control. Like, we'd never been, they're a supplier, so they just, do what their customers want and, do that. So it was a bit having more ownership, which was everyone was excited about, using nice fabrics. The issue is it's just a completely different business model. They've got like 10 accounts that are reliable, steady, beefy, fantastic, long-term, great business relationships, whereas we've got like 30,000 customers. Like, it's a really different model. And obviously we're D2C, and it's like a little bit more ramshackle and whatever the word is, but it's very different business models, and getting our head around that was tricky.
Yeah, I mean, consumer businesses, branding, marketing. Exactly. Man, do you need deep pockets?
I know, that's what we learned quite quickly.
Yeah.
But saying that, when we did launch, Facebook was more of a free-for-all. You could do like retargeting and a little bit more, obviously there wasn't as much data protection, so you could sort of fire a bit more freely. So we were getting put £1 in, get 3 back. Like that was great times. And we did a load of like pop-up shops and like customer acquisition and, you know, really going like the clappers. And we've still got customers from 2016 that are with us now that met us at, you know, a pop-up shop in Shoreditch. Like we did all of the things, and we did it cheap because it was it felt like, you know, spending the family's cash. So like we were conscientious of that as well. So it was that sort of startup ethos, keep everything super cheap. But obviously it was different because we were a subsidiary.
Did you kind of have a pot of money at the beginning, which was like, here's the money we're putting into this subsidiary to help you get it going? Or was it more of a trickle feed?
More of a trickle feed. And you know, we had sort of, you know, forecasts and stuff that we were expected to meet. Obviously we didn't. And just sort of dealing with that. And it was difficult. It just never felt sort of good enough, and which was hard. Even though it was good, you know, we just weren't profitable and where we needed to be as fast as we needed to be, and that's been tough and knocked our confidence, I'd say.
Yeah, and it's the nature of the business, though. It's just, you know, building that consumer brand. If you come from that family environment where they're kind of like, oh, excuse me, why aren't you profitable? Because that's what you should be. It's quite hard to fight. Sort of,
it's demoralizing.
Yeah. So, did that cause some challenges within the family?
A lot. But we, you know, the business, we're not profitable, but it is successful. Everyone saw the great things that were happening, and they could see the repeat purchases, which is the bread, that is the soul of e-commerce, is your repeat purchase rate. And ours is amazing. And we got Journelle in New York, which was just a great, you know, credible retailer. Then we got like Victoria's Secret, we got ASOS, like we got John Lewis, like all of these fantastic things. So it is good. It's just, you know, that we're just not hitting the targets that we need to be hitting, but we're doing everything and doing everything we can to get there, and it is working. And we're getting that, you know, we're getting the credibility that I'm rambling, sorry.
It takes time. It takes time. No, we're not going to cut it. People love to hear this part of the story. It's hard, right? Okay, but you know, when you've got that, so you've got your family business, they've set you up as an umbrella, things are not quite going, they're going brilliantly, but you're not hitting your targets.
Yeah.
So how did you resolve that with the family in the end?
So we sort of split the company. So Beija is now an independent company. So we're no longer a subsidiary, and that just was a lot better, like just a better dynamic. We are sort of free to use different suppliers, and it's a much more grown up setup. It's more easier to understand for the both of the businesses, like. And Beija had to be a fully formed, have our own run our own business, and it was a baptism of fire, but it is better. It is better.
You've flown the nest.
Kicked out the nest.
But you know, that's part of the kind of
it's way better
growing up journey, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Way better. It feels.
So that was in 2020.
2021. It took a while, but obviously it was through the pandemic as well, so everything. And then the factory closed. Like they supported us so much.
This was the family factory closed.
No, our factories that we use out in China. So the factory that was, so we got Victoria's Secret in the pandemic, literally like, you know, it was literally like 2 months of what was meant to be delivered. The factory closed, turned into a face mask factory. And we had to sort of find someone else to do the manufacturing. like deliver on time and like in the pandemic. So they sort of supported us through that, and everyone pulled out everything to make that happen, and we did it. But it was a crazy time because it was through the pandemic, so everyone was sort of peak stress as well. But we got there.
Yeah. And do you still manufacture in Asia, or do you have any European manufacturing?
No, not at the moment. We're looking to source one, hopefully in Portugal. But yeah, always looking. It's just balancing it out of like.
Yeah, well, it's the spreading that risk, isn't it? And we've seen so much happen, you know, with the pandemic, with Brexit, lots of people struggling with supply chain.
I know, it's been a nightmare.
Yeah. You've been through a lot. Okay, so
I know.
and so you've kicked out the nest in 2020. We're in a pandemic. Fun start. Factory closes.
It was so intense. Everyone like, you know, working from home, the shop opening, closing. But through that, like online sales were doing so well. The business was doing great, but it was just a really hard time, difficult time going through that.
And then you decided to raise investment. So tell me about the decision-making process on that. Like, why did you decide to raise, and why did you decide to go through crowdfunding?
So we, over like the whole journey, we've been talking about since like launch, just, you know, meeting VCs, we'd get like cold calls of interesting things. People want to meet us, hear more about the brand, seen a bit in the press about us, and we'd get sort of called in. And obviously it's like an interesting product. And also at the time, you know, like American brands like Aerie, Lively, Third Love, they were sort of big in the press and with these big valuations and sort of tech backgrounds / not really. And there was sort of, you know, VCs in the UK, I think, was sort of interested in what was going to be the UK's take on that. And basically, so yeah, we were having those sort of interesting chats, not really getting anywhere because our revenue wasn't $1 million a year, but sort of being on the radar. And then we decided to raise. We just got to go for it and just see what happens, and decided to go for the crowdfund. It was sort of, do we just like find some angels and find a VC and just really push for that, or take a risk and go on the crowd? And we took the risk and went on the crowd, and we're so pleased we did, because basically it always comes back to our customers. They never ever let us down, ever. But I just feel like it's just scary, but they never let us down. And it just had to like feel confident in that. And then, yeah, we went live on the crowd, but it was, you know, it was hard. Honestly, I just want to say, people will tell you it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. Believe them. Believe them. Because it really was.
Let's unpick the challenges that you found, right? Because I'm sure there are many, and it is really hard. And I want to talk about that a bit more later. But so, I mean, of course, when you're crowdfunding, you can't just put it live on a crowdfunding platform. One of the most important things is to get some investment ahead of going live with your crowdfund, right?
Yes.
So you kind of have to go out and do
had to do that
round bit anyway, before you even do the crowdfund. So how was that part?
Horrific.
Didn't take you long to come up with that.
Well, it was the pandemic, so you couldn't meet anyone, and it's like, you know, you couldn't meet anyone. So it would basically to go on the crowd. Our target was 300k. You're meant to launch with half of that, so it was 150. Like, that was a big task. We managed to secure 60 and just went live, which was a huge risk, badly advised. They were like, you're mad. It's like, this is a real risk. We just thought, we don't want to wait anymore. Like, we're just not, we need just to get live and just do this or not and see what happens. But yeah, that pitching to angels and even when you're live, you've got to do a lot of pitching as well. And the thing is, what we found really hard is sort of you jump on these Zoom calls and you wouldn't know what they would be interested in. So some people would just want to talk about uncomfortable bras. The next Zoom call, they would want to do like a deep dive into financials, maths quizzes. The next one would be talking about, you know, the future of e-commerce. The next one would be like a retailer. And it was so mind-blowing having to like jump into all those things. And then also like, it was a pandemic. There was all like the children, like the kids everywhere. Like it was insane.
Yeah, that's very, you know, it's a good point you make about how every conversation with every angel investor is different.
Yes.
And how much you have to prepare for that. I mean, you can do a little bit of research in advance to try and find out as much as you can about them, so you're a bit prepared for a call. But yeah, you never know what's going to get lobbed at you.
No.
You've got to prepare for that. So the preparation on the Q&A and just having everything kind of as sewn up as you can is actually really important, isn't it?
It is really important, definitely. But you get sort of so practiced. And personally, what I found is you have so many conversations, you kind of forget what's good. So I had like the reviews section on our website, just as like a flagged page on my Google, like, because you have to remember what's good. Otherwise you forget what you're even doing. It's just like all of these questions, like what's the like forecast, what's good, like what's the plan of, and it's like, actually, like we've got a really good brand, we've got really good, you know, customer behavior statistics, like amazing product reviews, and you just have to hold on to what's good. Otherwise you can get swept up in a lot of people's advice as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I certainly found when I was raising investment, and I get this from all the founders we work with, there's so many people who want to kind of lob that advice in from the sidelines, tell you what you should be doing. And if you're not clear about your vision, your mission, your goals, your action plan, you could get blown away around like a plastic bag in the wind, right? You're just like, oh, but they said that, or maybe I should be doing that.
We had one guy telling us to just shut the whole thing down and make face masks.
Oh, for God's sake.
Like, oh my God, like, I don't know.
Okay, so
should we?
There's a couple of things I want to explore. So I think, you know, one of the things is that as female founders, we know that we get asked a lot more of these preventative questions, which are quite hard to spot, but they kind of get you on the back foot, right? They get you a bit defensive. What you just said then about holding on to all those positive things couldn't be more important, because anytime you get a question where you're sort of feeling like I'm having to sort of explain, you know, how am I going to defend myself against my competitors? You flip it round and then put forward all those positive things to get them back in that forward thinking frame of mind. So that's really good advice.
As well, like the biggest issue we sort of like the way it's all turned out has been, I know I'm sort of, it's just sort of looking back, and it was difficult, but like the way it's all landed now, we could not be happier. We are so thrilled with our investors and how the amazing people that we've met, like it's all turned out fantastic. We are so lucky. And even though it felt kind of crazy and shambolic, like we obviously smashed it. Like we obviously did well. I just have to remember that as well. Like it was hard, but we did really well. My sister was 8 months pregnant. We landed it, and we've got the most amazing investor and people around us now. It's like, it's good. We're so thrilled, and like, yes, it was hard, but it was definitely worth it. But so in terms of like what was really challenging wasn't necessarily like sexism or anything like that. It was just getting people to understand the nature of the business, and i.e. we have 55 SKUs. It's not small, medium and large. It's not t-shirts. It's not socks. It is a lot of SKUs. And that's just the nature. It's not a really bad thing. It's a big thing to get your head around. Women tended to get it more, and that sort of free conversation. So if you'd make a reference to another brand or a way a bra would feel, a woman just gets it. And trying to explain that to men was harder, but it was just that size this number of sizes that we offer and selling that as a positive was the really challenging.
I mean, I imagine your very deep expertise in the industry would have helped you there, because they would have known you're not making this stuff up. This is this is important.
Yeah.
But did you find then, as a consequence, did you get more female angel investors on board than men? What was because of that?
It was majority women. It was mostly our customers.
Yeah. In terms of the crowdfund.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, actually, of those 300 and whatever it was investors that came in, were they mostly from your existing network, your customer base?
Yeah.
That's another important point, isn't it, for any female founder to understand, is that crowdfunding often is about bringing together your network and your customers, your fans, your followers, rather than necessarily expecting them to come from the platform.
Because there's a lot of like breweries and men brands, breweries, fintech, that sort of stuff that like they're comfortable with. So we stood out a lot, like our story and the images, like it really stood out on the page. So it was eye-catching in that sense. But yeah, majoritively women. But that's why you've got to have a decent product. You know, you can't make her investor. She's not wearing that bra every day. Like, she's not going to be so passionate for the brand.
Yeah. And when you look back now, I mean, obviously you said a lot about how it was a great outcome and those investors are all brilliant. When you look back now at sort of how much you raised and the valuation you got, are you happy with that? Would you have changed that at all? If you could go back now, would you raise more? Would you have changed your valuation?
No, because if we would have put a higher target, we would have had a bigger, like, to get that halfway starting point would have been even more scary and taken longer. And with our valuation, no, because we got the people that got involved are great, so I wouldn't have changed it. Even it was eye-catching because I think it was quite low, but it was a particularly scary time for, like, it was, you know, businesses were closing left, right and center. Like, it was right for us. And again, that bloody valuation conversation that goes round and round for months and months and months. We just need to choose a figure and just go for it, because we're never going to pin anything down.
There's no right answer, you know. And everybody will tell you something different. I do tend to agree with that. You know, as long as you're not wildly out, you know, and if you are at the beginning, you know, to have set it a little bit higher so that there might be some room for negotiation, because people do like to negotiate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people have like huge valuations and they've never made what was hard to get, like, emotionally, was business that has never made £1 having £8 million valuations. And we had like a decent rev, like, but it was just this sort of stock heavy, size heavy, you know, it's not the easiest product, and we sort of balanced that out basically. But yeah, we're happy with how it came together.
Yeah, good.
And I think it was eye-catching because it was quite low.
Yeah. And you got it done. That's the thing. You got it done. You got it done. So what's it been like then since you raised investment? How has that impacted your business?
Positively, again, because we've got our lead investor, we have like sort of catch-ups with him. He's great, good advice. We're happy to have benefited from that. We've been able to facilitate this sort of John Lewis project as well. We haven't gone crazy spending and stuff like that, but we've just been able to do some things that have been important for our growth, i.e. like these events, these in-person events, really, that we had to use the funding for that, which is working.
I mean, I think what I've seen over the last couple of years, especially for consumer brands, e-commerce brands, is the challenges raising investment during the pandemic, when a lot of e-commerce businesses were going great guns, And then since then, it's been quite hard for them to keep that same trajectory, which has caused issues with investors.
Yeah.
And all the problems we know around, the Facebook algorithms, which has been layered on top of all that strange consumer behavior.
Yeah, that basically happened in January as we were going to spend more on digital marketing. And it was just so interesting when you spent like £2,000 a month or 10 grand a month, suddenly it didn't make any difference to the rev. But as a small team, we're just lucky because you can just move quick and switch things up and not tied into like big agencies and stuff like that. It's just move quick, make the changes. But yeah, that has been difficult, and not just difficult, just sort of felt a bit like banging our head on a brick wall. Like, it's just wasteful. It's not like it wasn't working, and just that so we have to find what's working instead. And it's for us, it's getting back to meeting our customers in person.
And I think, when you've got crowdfunding investors, angel investors on board, they are by nature more patient capital. So, in theory, we'll see you, through those difficult times. Whereas if you're in a VC territory and you're not meeting that trajectory that you were expecting, it can be very challenging. I've seen that happen with a lot of businesses in the last couple of years, where the VCs have just kind of pulled and said, we're not going to follow on our funding. And then it's game over.
Just trying to keep up with it all has been crazy. We're just so grateful. Like, everyone needs a bra, and they always will.
And that's the thing. Fundamentally, you have a great product, obviously a very loyal customer base. So where do you take it from here? What's the kind of plan for growth broadly for Beija?
So next year we want to branch out and expand our wholesale, because what works for us is the tactile nature of the product. She wants to feel it and touch it. But we're so grateful with the timing, because now we're having these introductions. We've got a good brand already. We're quite got established, good reputation, good marketing, good branding, good image. Like, it's an easier sell rather than just like, hello, we're brand new. It's like, yeah, this is the game. This is what we do. This is the best sellers, and then just broaden that out. And obviously, we've got our online bra fittings, expanding that, and then our in-person fitting strategy as well, which is we're working on for next year. But the goal is just to have a massive online revenue coming out every month and coming in every month, and having like a slick facilitate that really well in a good, like in our warehouse. And because that's, with that growth, there's all of these operations as well. So just maintain that slick operation as well as the increased revenue, because that is scary. But I feel like we've got a really good support team around us to sort of manage that. And yeah, just have women across the globe wearing Beija. That's the goal. And she is. We've got like great customers, international customers, and we just need more and more of them, basically.
Yeah. And do you think you will need more funding?
Yeah, we're going to go for it again, because with that wholesale strategy, you need more funding. But it's exciting. Like, it'll be exciting for her to be able to try it on in more places, because I do understand the hurdle of buying online. So making that first purchase in person and then just coming back to the website for the recolors. That's the goal.
Exactly. So will you crowdfund again?
I don't know. We might. I mean, I feel like we could. It's just that whole building that campaign again, like
it's like you're about to have your, you've given birth once and you remember how horrific it was. Now you're going to have another one, but you've forgotten the pain already. Remember earlier on you said to me, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. Do you think it will be the hardest thing you ever do second time?
No, because that was our baptism of fire. We've done a lot of learning through the journey, and even, creating. So we're pitching again. We've got a new deck, and even seeing the deck moved on from last year to this deck, like the business has changed. It's like, I'm excited for this new deck, and we've got some good traction this year. Like, we've survived the pandemic, we've grown, I've got a bit more customers, so it's going to be interesting. But yeah, we're looking to close it soon. So I'm hoping just angels, or maybe it'll be the crowd, but we've just got to wait and see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be easier this time because it won't be so manic, and we can meet people in person.
I know, that'd be great. And then they can see the lingerie.
Exactly.
Show, don't tell. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you'll be super successful.
I know, but it is. It is super successful. It's just hard. It is just hard. Business is just hard, isn't it?
It's hard. And fundraising, the reality is that when you're building a high growth business as you are, fundraising is always going to be part of your role as the CEO. I mean, I
didn't realise that.
No, well, most people don't. If you're listening out there at the beginning of your journey, you're gonna, fundraising is something you got to do, whatever format that is. Being in charge, in control of the funding and having enough cash to do what you want. If you don't have enough cash, you can't grow. It's it's just the way it is.
I just find it interesting that people do it without having any proven product. Do you know what I mean? Like we had like a physical thing that we could send someone, try it on, see it's how good it is.
It's fascinating, that, isn't it? There is a sort of a type of kind of business where they're selling it on the idea, and they're selling it on the credentials of the team, and people can get excited in that big picture vision. It's interesting, once you've launched the business and you've started to get some metrics, you then start to get quizzed a lot more on the kind of mechanics of the business and how it's performing. It's a very different point in the investment journey, different pitch, different types of investors that get involved. And it is really frustrating, isn't it? From the outside, you kind of go, how the hell? But, the thing is, valuation is only paper based until the point where you have actually scaled your business and exited it.
Yeah.
So I think we have to be careful not to get too wrapped up in that. And, you're building a business for long-term, value for you and your investors. And that's what you need to focus on, rather than, did I get that valuation or whatever? That's what
no, that's like, we don't really think about it. It's just so busy running the business and growing the business and acquiring customers. Like that's all that we want to, that's all we're thinking about. And, designing her the bra that's missing from her collection. Yeah. Which is my favourite bit of the job. I really love that.
That's it. You've got to always make space for the bits that you love as an entrepreneur, so that you
try and make space. You try and make space, and then you get smashed into an Excel spreadsheet for the entire day. You're like, what the hell? This is going to be my design day.
Yeah, that will resonate with everybody listening to this.
I'm trying just not to feel guilty about that, because it makes it worse. You're just like, no, this is the reality. This is just roll with it, rather than I should be doing this, I should be doing that. It's just like, no, just you're doing what you've got to do there and then, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited for you. I'm sure you'll be very successful on this next fundraise. And yep, I am probably going to have to now go onto your website and order myself some new underwear, because
we've got some bangers launching for autumn winter. Really nice one, like a wine colour, and a nice strapless one. But yeah, good stuff coming, which is exciting.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's been really interesting, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for following Fundraising Stories with Female Founders. This content is all provided to you for free, so if you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe so you never miss another one. Enter the Arena has helped hundreds of female founders fly through pre-raise and investment and onto the exponential growth of their business. Our first-hand experience, expert guidance, and proven programs help female founders unleash the Wonder Woman inside. To see if we can help you do the same, head over to www.enterthearena.co.uk. I'm Julia Elliott Brown, and I look forward to talking with you soon.